Hi, this is Friday's episode of What Was Jesus Up To During Holy Week? Well, today is Good Friday. We call it good because of what God did with what happened on Friday. But it's on Friday that Jesus is taken from the house of Caiaphas, the high priest. There he goes to Pontius Pilate, the Roman governor, and there ultimately Pontius Pilate condemns Jesus to death on a cross. And it's there that Jesus then goes to the cross. By 9 a.m., he is hanging on the cross. It's also at 9 a.m. that in the temple inside the city of Jerusalem, the high priest has selected a lamb, a spotless lamb, to be sacrificed, to atone for the sins of the people. Another lamb at 3 o'clock in the afternoon will also be sacrificed, spotless, perfect lamb, sacrifice for the sins of the people. That happened every day in the temple of Jerusalem for the worship of God's people. Jesus, curiously enough, hangs on the cross from 9 a.m. until finally he dies at 3 p.m. for the sins of the whole world, once and for all. Jesus is known for saying seven sayings from the cross. There, before we close this out, I want to share two things that Jesus said on the cross. First, it occurs to me that there at the cross, human beings do the very worst that anybody could ever do toward another, from slander to deceit to conspiracy, to lie, and then to kill an innocent man. It's like the world threw all of its curses on Jesus, all of its worst on Jesus. And if it was anyone else, you might expect Jesus to hurl a curse back to those around him. But instead, Jesus pronounces forgiveness, for he says, "Father, forgive them. They know not what they're doing." It's so much like Jesus, who's offered forgiveness before, who have raised people up from death to sin. They've been cut off from God, and he brings them back into fellowship and into relationship with God. And there, at the very last, Jesus is still doing the things of Jesus, trying to bring people back to God by praying for forgiveness for these who are, at that point, crucifying him. That's so much like Jesus. And then another instance on the cross, Jesus hangs on the cross between two thieves, and it's there that Jesus, between these thieves, one thief makes fun of Jesus, derides him, gives Jesus a hard time. The second thief defends Jesus. And finally he turns to Jesus, this one thief, and says, "Jesus, remember me when you come into your kingdom." And Jesus responds by saying, "Today, you'll be with me in paradise." Even at the last, Jesus is offering out his hand and offering life to that thief on the cross. And it turns out to all of us. It seems to me Rome had the power to put someone to death. But what the world didn't know, but that Jesus had told us, is that God has the power to give life. Jesus prayed for life for those around him that day when they were cursing him. He wanted to give them God's best. And he held out life for the thief on the cross next to him. And today he still holds out life to us. And there he still prays for us. And he still offers us his best, even when all we can manage is our worst. He still speaks, "Father, forgive them. They know not what they're doing." Well, finally at 3 o'clock, Jesus dies. And there 2 men, secret disciples, take Jesus' body down and lay him there in the tomb. And the stone is rolled in place. Not forever, because on Sunday they plan on coming back, the women do, and properly preparing his body for burial, for permanent. Because after all, no one comes back from the dead. Or do they? Join me tomorrow for the last episode of What Was Jesus Up To during Holy Week. And then I hope you'll join us for Easter worship at one of our 3 services here at our downtown campus at 8:30 or 11, or at our well service at 11 o'clock at USM here in Long Beach, where we celebrate that in the midst of death there is life. There's so much in the world that can take life away, that can suck the life out of it, but God gives us life. That we celebrate, for that is Easter. But for now, it's still Friday. I invite you to join me again tomorrow for one last episode of What Was Jesus Up To during Holy Week on that Saturday. We'll see you then.